we thought it would be nice to start with some very brief introductions. It's so rare that we get together across the university. I know that there are many, many people in this room whom I don't know, and I'm sure some of us don't know each other. So as a way of just some brief scanning of who's here today, let's have you stand up when I announce your college, just so we can see who we've got. So, who's in CBE? Please stand. Ooh, look how you're spread out.
That's good.
That's great, thank you. And CHP? All right. I should give myself a quiz, thank you, and see if I know what these all stand for. COE? All right. COFAC? CLA? And FCSM. Ooh, they're the only ones not represented. You can talk about them terribly now.
There's nobody here from Fisher College of Science and Mathematics? Wow, that's interesting.
How about the library?
The library.
I'm always remembering the library.
The library.
Excellent. And we also thought it would be interesting, since we're talking about faculty development, to get a scan of what different faculty roles we all play in this room. So could you please stand if you are an adjunct faculty? Okay, that's interesting. Assistant professor? Okay, thank you. Associate professors? All right. Clinical faculty? Excellent. Full professors? Great. And lecturers?
Excellent.
Beautiful. And we already welcomed the librarians. You can stand again. And did I forget anybody?
Administrators?
I didn't expect a lot of administrators. Let's see, are there any?
Me.
Oh, well, there you go. My bad. That's who we've got today. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Carla. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to catch you up on where we are in our process now, and then Carla is going to tell you about the needs assessment process which is the next stage of our work. Okay, so the Faculty Development Task Force was established by the Office of the Provost after we were given a charge by the President. And the President wanted us to develop a world-class faculty development center. And she wanted us to dream big. She didn't put any limitations on the dream. Okay, so she wants us to provide recommendations in terms of facilities, composition, organization, services, programs, everything from sorts of the lumber and the nails all the way to the philosophy, all that big continuum we get to provide recommendations on. Now, of course, we'll probably have recommendations that will be a Cadillac version, and we probably will have one that's maybe a hybrid version, and then maybe one that's sort of a bicycle built for more than two people. So, but we're at this point of sort of brainstorming, but we're trying to be able to gather data to be able to meet the President's charge. So here's the timeline. So we started in September, and we convened a task force. There are representatives from each college and every faculty rank. We established 3 subcommittees, which I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. And then those subcommittees have done their work, and now we're getting ready to deploy a needs assessment, which Carla will talk to you about. We're going to be conducting some site visits in the spring, draft some recommendations, and hope to have the full report to the President by the end of the spring semester. This is an ambitious timeline, but that's what we're aiming for. The task force has to provide, every 4 to 6 weeks, the President asks for an update, and we've been providing those reports, and those reports are on the Office of the Provost website. So you'll be able to track our progress continually if you're interested. Okay, so we had 3 subcommittees. The first was an inventory subcommittee. We took a look at what sort of activities we already have in place at the university level, and then the subcommittee went and looked further at the college level and the department level. So that inventory has now been completed. And Jane Neapolitan is the chair. She would be here, but she's at another session currently moderating. The other subcommittee is Carla Cubitz. Could you stand and wave? She's in the back there. She's the head of the exemplar subcommittee, which is looking for exemplars through a web search and well as through a literature review. And they are identifying exemplars and providing those exemplars to the committee. And based on that review, it will be determined what site visits may be done either virtually or on site. And then the last subcommittee is Carla with a C, who's taken care of the needs assessment, and she's going to tell you a little bit about where they are in their process.
All right, so obviously one of the most important things that we want to do in thinking about what kind of faculty development is going to happen in a centralized way for us at the university is to find out what all of us want and need. So as Maggie said, we've done some of that through inventorying our understanding of what's already happening, which is happening, we know, in lots of decentralized ways. So we're trying to take stock of what's happening. And then we also want to know, how do we feel about it? What kind of faculty support are we getting? What kind of faculty support do we like? What might that look like if it were to happen in a more centralized way? What would those services be? Where would they be? And how would they support us professionally? So we're going to take two different prongs in order to do that. One is, I know you'll all be thrilled to know you'll be getting an electronic survey in about the next month. We piloted it, and it really will take you 10 minutes or less, okay? What we've tried to do is make it comprehensive but not too long. So you will see there's some Likert scale items, there's some open-ended things, there's even a map you can draw on. We really are trying to be as catch-all as we can right now to find out what everybody wants. Along with that, because you can only get so much information from a survey, we have decided to do a series of focus groups. We'll probably do half a dozen focus groups of about 60 to 90 minutes long, and we're still playing around with exactly the best grouping to do that, to get the most sincere and comprehensive feedback from everybody. So that may happen within colleges or it may happen within ranks. We're trying to think about what makes the most sense in terms of figuring out from faculty what we want and to get some more in-depth information from a small group conversation. Those will likely happen through some both appointing of folks through deans and through your college councils, but also through kind of self-nomination. So just look for that. Maybe we can even put some information with the survey to ask for people who would like to be involved in that. We would like for that to be volunteer rather than, what do they say, voluntold. It makes much more sense to us, I think, that people who would like to be there, who think that they would be interested in using some kind of faculty development center. And at this point, I think it's important to know that we really don't know what we mean by a faculty development center. So we're asking you to think broadly with us beyond what you may have experienced here or in other universities. It doesn't necessarily mean just a center for improvement in teaching. That's why the president has not given it that name. We don't know what name it will have, but we really want to think about all of the ways in which we would like to receive support for us in the kind of production and support of us across the span of our careers. So that's what we're going to do, and we obviously want your input to make it work out. Right.
So what we've done in a few groups is to ask them to sort of draw their perfect vision, a symbolic vision of a world-class faculty development center. So usually, yes, I get this look, like, but when people get to pick up a crayon and start walking over to the paper, they start talking with some colleagues, themes emerge, and usually there's one or more really good hidden artists among the groups. And it's amazing what people have come up with. And we've done this with lecturers, we've done this with the full professor leadership group, and we've done it with some of the teams. And it's amazing how some of the themes are very similar and some things are different. So this is another sort of data point which is just helping us when we constructed the survey, just to sort of make sure that we have included items that sort of resonate with the faculty. So it was sort of like an early pictorial focus group. So the goal for you to get up and to sort of stand and think is for you to be able to answer a question, which is, what is your biggest priority for a faculty development center? So first, to be able to sort of design it in your mind, share your vision, picture it symbolically, and then look at that and say, well, all those sort of components, characteristic, potential program services, what's the most important? We would like to provide the Cadillac, the gold Cadillac, but if we're not able to, what is of most primary importance for you and your role? So that's the goal. So it's an opportunity for you to get up and not be talked at, and then a chance to engage with other folks. It was really great seeing how people from the various colleges aren't all sitting at one table. So if you can continue along with that theme, if you can pick up some markers and just go to one of the sets, there's 10 sets of the 2 stickies, and start talking, dreaming, and drawing. And Carla, do you have anything else to say? Give me about 10 minutes, and we'll check in and see what our work's doing. And then we may extend the test for another 5 minutes.
And we're going to just allow each group a 60-second share out. So you're not going to describe everything in your post or everything you discussed, but if you could please share just your 1 or 2 top priorities that came out of your conversation. All right? I am going to hand the mic. Top 3? Is that what you said? I said top 1 or 2, but if you could do 3 in 60 seconds, we're good.
No, we'll do 2. Okay. Hi, Catherine Horta Hayden from the Department of Dance. Currently interim chair until Friday. And then on Monday, which is why I look so happy, see? So one of the top things we discussed is mentorship. But also in terms of succession for chairs, for any kind of director position. So that idea of understanding better the balance between manager and visionary, and how all of that kind of feeds in as a faculty member in the department. So that I think was one of the top ones, mentorship and succession. And then I guess the second one, which is, I think it's universal, is just time, and how you get that in a faculty development center, I don't know, but maybe the discussion of that. But we had others, as you can see, Happy People and Carrot had to do with PTRM. And so how that's connected with PTRM, that sometimes in and of itself is a little segmented. So you're thinking of synergy, but yet PTRM sometimes is still very segmented, and how sometimes that contradicts itself. And I'm done.
Excellent. All right, let me come to this middle group over here. Miriam, you want to speak?
We have an open sign here, which we felt was our main image. So open weekends, open to all, open-minded, open-ended, open late and early, open to change, open to failure, open to success, open to innovation, and a blend of practical concerns and then that feeling of openness.
Thank you. What a nice metaphor. Stephen, can you talk with the marker in your mouth?
I probably could, but we have a building that has multiple parts. The most important part, though, we felt was a really strong foundation, and one that went from sort of the cradle to grave of our careers. both from the very newest faculty member to people, well, to the very nearest departed. What we wanted to focus upon is that there are elevators and passages that go between the various areas, that the support would be differentiated, but while most new faculty need help and support with their teaching, sometimes after you've been doing this 15 or 20 years, you want to go back and revisit and be able to talk with newer teachers who may have fresh eyes and other areas. We want research and scholarship support, both soft support, hard support, and money. Perfect world. Communication between colleges, communities, and departments, connections with the outside world, and discussions about the balance between family and synergy with the rest of our careers.
Thank you. We're going to move to the other side of the room.
Feel better. We also added the word accessibility, which means that we can go ahead with whatever it is that we want to do. Sometimes we feel like we hit walls and barriers, and access is different sometimes because of language, but access allows us to have things like interpreters. If we can get enough interpreters to support us as faculty, then we can go ahead with our plans and have better access to other parts of the college community. This is a sign for support. And by that we mean support for ideas. Sometimes we feel like our ideas are suppressed. So we need more people who understand our perspectives and understand what we are thinking about, and that will open doors to opportunities for us and lead us out into the world, out into the university community. And also it lets the outside world and the university community into our ideas and our perspectives and our place. So you've learned 2 signs today. This one is support. It's a 2-handed sign, and one hand actually bridges the other. It provides a foundation for the other. One fist, your left hand moves up, and the right hand is stationary, and it's formed like this. So that's important, to support each other. This is the sign for barrier. So I know a lot of you may not feel barriers, but you might have a different kind of support system that we have. Jody, you want to add anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we did was just do a building, and then I guess the top thing that we came up with, I guess I'm going to go with our arrow that's showing just continuous growth, and we had question marks just because we were saying that there could be multiple goals. We don't know all of the goals yet, and so we just want to leave it open, kind of like the other group saying everything was open. So I'll go with that if my group has nothing else. Okay.
Okay, who do we have here?
All right, so what we have here is a very basic Venn diagram, and we listed some of the areas that faculty would need support on. So obviously teaching, research, and service. And there can be a fair degree of overlap between these 3 areas. That's why they're all interlaced, kind of like that group over there. We also have a separate section for tenure and promotion. So because we do know that faculty members need some guidance on that. Overlapping all these categories is obviously resources, as many people have already identified. Time and money would summarize the resources that we need. We started listing them out one by one, but then we realized that it all boils down to time and money. So we did divide them into internal resources and external resources, mentoring would be one of the aspects of resources that would be included over here. Funding for conducting research, upgrading equipment, traveling to conferences or to networking opportunities, course releases to work on these things. Perhaps have dedicated funds for the FDC center so that they can provide those resources. So anything else that I should add? All right. Thank you.
All right, we're from the College of Health Professions. Our table, most of us, well, actually all of us. So I think we really had our own building in mind. And so with that, we want the Faculty Development Center to be in our building. And so that building is one that's not going to have four corners. So you notice I rounded it out a little bit. We focused on technology needs and support for faculty. Also, we wanted this quiet space where we could just think. See? Like that, and just be in a place and really be able to process and collaborate and all that kind of wonderful stuff. Again, keeping in mind the idea of a round space where this community, people are treated equally with respect. It would be nice to be able to have maybe a fireplace for cold days, and then also a brook with some water, because we're addressing the sensory and we're all about wellness, and so we're looking at all of the areas of the person, and so considering all of those needs within our building so that we can be productive and that we can produce good quality work and represent Towson well.
I lost a round of rock, paper, scissors to be the one to be up here, so. I don't know how many can read this caption, but it says this is an umbrella, really, because it doesn't really look like one, but it is. So we use that metaphor because of the idea that it's something that should encompass a lot of things, many of which already exist, things like community engagement, the office to help with that, things that are already being done. There are lots of talks around campus about aspects of teaching, but this would bring them in together. And leadership development, new chairs, new directors, someone had mentioned that before, and kind of tying it all together with an emphasis on inclusion and diversity in all of those areas because it's relevant to all of those, providing networking. And then, as we're not the first to point out, needing resources to support things like if someone's developing a new innovative class, maybe they have a course release one semester, or maybe there's some funding for summer for people developing new innovative classes, and maybe the space has a place, I guess in the summer we wouldn't want the fireplace, but sitting by the brook for the different people who are developing these new classes to talk and have some sense of community. So.
Thank you. Some of the recurring themes are the environment. That was really when we did this activity with the full professors, pretty much everyone had either a brook or a fireplace or something to symbolize a very comforting place. And also comfy furniture and places for dialogue was also a theme across all the groups. And open and access. Those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. Carla, can you remember? Carla with a K or Carla with a C?
I think that captures a lot of what we heard from this group today. A lot of interest, I think, in getting to know each other across colleges and perhaps being able to make better use of the capacity that we have across the university and having a space to do that and having programming and opportunities to do that would be appealing to people.